The weather outside was gloomy, with a fine drizzle and a strong cold wind. Through the park, a young pregnant woman with a huge belly struggled, carrying heavy bags from the supermarket. She breathed heavily, frequently stopping to catch her breath and massaging her lower back. In the entrance, she realized the elevator wasn't working again, a distressing situation considering she lived on the 9th floor. A neighbor, a sporty-looking man, hurried down the stairs, noticed the struggling woman, and, feeling pity for her, asked, "Hello, Naomi. Why are you carrying such heavy bags? You're pregnant. And it would be different if you were a single woman. But you have a wealthy husband with a car. Can't he buy groceries and bring them home? Give me the bags. I'll help you carry them. Or you might end up giving birth in the lobby." Naomi felt awkward but looked at her neighbor with immense gratitude, handed him the heavy bags, and followed him up the stairs. "Thanks, Ethan. You know my husband Jack. He's always at work. Only comes home to sleep when it's already dark outside. I've been asking him for a week to get groceries, but he always forgets. So, I decided to go myself. But, you know, women being women, I thought I'd buy only steaks and a bottle of milk. And then I realized my basket was filled to the brim. And to top it off, the elevator at home wasn't working again. Finally, we made it. Would you come in for tea with your wife, Naomi? I'm in a hurry. Maybe I can come over this weekend. Good luck, and I wish you a strong, healthy baby. You and Jack have been waiting for this for so long. Take care of yourself. Don't overexert," the man said with a smile. Naomi took off her coat, began unpacking the bags, and suddenly became upset, realizing that Jack hadn't been interested in the family lately. There was no point in talking to him or asking for anything. He just didn't seem to hear. He was always on the phone, rushing somewhere, thinking only about work. If only he asked how she was feeling, he could help her with household chores. Naomi poured herself tea, sat on the couch, and, sipping it slowly, felt tears rolling down her cheeks. But it wasn't always like this. Jack chose her, loved her, proposed to her despite his parents' objections. Naomi was an orphan, raised in a shelter with nothing. However, that didn't discourage her. She went to study accounting because she loved mathematics. Simultaneously, she attended cooking courses since she had been drawn to culinary arts since childhood. However, she couldn't fulfill her dreams in the shelter because the mean cook wouldn't allow her to use the kitchen. Naomi successfully graduated from college, but finding a job in her field without experience was challenging. So, she got a job at a confectionery factory, quickly accepted because they always needed people on the production line. She enjoyed baking aromatic cakes, decorating pastries, learning techniques from experienced bakers. One day, important guests, investors with documents in hand, visited the factory. Naomi, carrying an enormous cake specially made for the occasion, caught the attention of the director, who believed the guests would appreciate seeing a young, slender, beautiful girl with long hair. Indeed, all the investors praised the magnificent cake, admired its taste, discussed its design, and tried to guess its flavor. One of the guests, a tall man, unexpectedly began complimenting Naomi. "Well, colleagues, if such beautiful girls bake masterpieces like this here, this business will undoubtedly be profitable. What's your name, lovely girl? How long have you been working at this factory? What are your impressions of the job? Share your opinion with us." Naomi was taken aback by the words. Her cheeks reddened, but the director gave her a serious look, and she, no longer nervous, confidently answered, "My name is Naomi, and I've been working at this factory for a year. I love culinary arts, enjoy fantasizing and creating patterns on confectionery. Our cakes and pastries are made only from fresh ingredients, and our director personally oversees everything. The salary here is decent, and I'm satisfied with everything. Enjoy your meal." Investors started applauding the girl, laughed, and engaged in pleasant conversations over a cup of tea. The director smiled at Naomi, pleased with her speech. She hurried back to the kitchen, to her workstation, with trembling hands and feet. Naomi couldn't stop thinking about the man with green eyes. She couldn't forget his gaze, and her heart pounded in her chest. At the end of her shift, while putting the last batch of pies into the oven, Olivia rushed into the kitchen. The waitress approached Naomi and handed her a note, saying, "Here's a note for you, from that man. He said it's for Naomi. You're lucky. He must have liked you. Maybe he'll offer you a good job." Surprised, Naomi unfolded the note and read, "I can't forget the most beautiful girl. I'll be waiting for you tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the evening by the monument in the city center. I promise you it will be a wonderful evening. You're Jack." Naomi couldn't move. She read every letter in the note and couldn't believe her luck. She inhaled the scent of exquisite, expensive perfume from the paper and dreamily smiled. This marked the beginning of Naomi and Jack's romance. They loved each other passionately, cherishing every moment spent together. After 6 months, they celebrated a magnificent wedding, and Naomi moved from her poor one-bedroom apartment to her husband's luxurious flat. Initially, their life together was perfect. To Naomi, an orphan who had seen nothing but a dull old shelter, it felt like an entirely new, exciting, and real life was unfolding before her eyes. Jack took her to art exhibitions and theater premieres, patiently taught her how to conduct herself in high society, and how to engage in conversations. Naomi valued every word he said and adored her husband. However, Jack's parents disapproved of the daughter-in-law, and every time they visited, they belittled Naomi, trying to hurt her. "You've been living together for a year. When can we expect grandchildren from you? I hope, dear, that at least you are capable of that. After all, you have no other talents," Jack's mother rudely remarked. "Why do you speak like that? I'm actually an accountant by profession, and I used to work as a cook at the factory. But now, Jack doesn't want me to find a job, and we will have a child." Naomi responded, feeling offended. "You're an accountant. You only finished college. Do you think that's a proper education? You should have at least gotten a diploma from a simple university. And the fact that you worked as a cook is a disgrace to our family," said her mother-in-law. It hurt Naomi to hear such words from her mother-in-law, and she hoped that Jack would defend her because it was evident that his mother deliberately tried to upset her. However, Jack didn't say anything to his mother. He simply changed the subject. But he also mentioned to his wife several times that it was time to think about an heir. Naomi was deeply troubled by the pressure from her relatives, as she feared she couldn't conceive. In the 10 years they'd been together, she became pregnant only once, but they hadn't even had the chance to celebrate the news before a miscarriage occurred. They both struggled with the tragic event, growing somewhat distant from each other. Jack immersed himself more in work, constantly talking on the phone at home, and completely stopped noticing everything Naomi did around the house, the delicious meals, cleanliness, and order, considering it all as a matter of course. She wanted to work, but Jack was against it, thinking it was not prestigious for a businessman's wife to work as a cook. Instead, he entrusted Naomi with managing his accounting at the firm. When he realized she was doing an excellent job, he started bringing reports home regularly. Everything suited him. He had his personal accountant and wife, and he didn't have to pay a salary to an additional employee, a great saving. So, Naomi found herself constantly at home, catering to her husband, while he paid less and less attention to her. There was nothing for them to talk about except reports. The woman had given up hope of conceiving and started persuading her husband to adopt a baby from the shelter. He reluctantly accepted the proposal, and they began preparing the necessary documents, visiting the shelter, and observing the children. Naomi enjoyed spending time with them, as she had lived in a shelter herself and understood what it meant. She brought them sweets, tried to uplift and support them. The kids were happy to see her, But Naomi struggled to decide which child to welcome into her family. In the shelter, there were no good or bad children. Each had their own personal tragedy, and many became either tough or withdrawn as a way to protect themselves from others. Just when the adoption documents were almost ready, Naomi unexpectedly became pregnant. No one anticipated it, and Jack was overjoyed with the news. He dreamt of a son, an heir, imagining how he would teach him everything and pass on his business. Naomi's pregnancy was challenging. She spent time in the hospital twice, and Jack was nervous, fearing she might not be able to give birth again. Initially, their relationship became tender, and Jack became as caring as before. However, when the doctors informed them that they were likely having a girl, Jack became angry and shouted, "How is this possible? I dreamt of a son for so many years, and the doctors said it would be a girl. All these dresses, bows, dolls, that's all for you. What am I supposed to do with her? Who will I pass my business to? Jack, the gender of the child is not within my control. We waited for this pregnancy for so long, dreaming of children. What does it matter if we have a boy or a girl? Personally, I will love our daughter deeply. I hope you will too. By the way, daughters often love their dads even more than mums," replied Naomi. "How do you know that? You're an orphan. How can you bring up such examples from life?" shouted Jack. Naomi was hurt by her husband's words. She cried and went to her bedroom. She didn't recognize her husband. Why did he become so angry? Why did he allow himself to speak to her like that and hurt her? It had never been like this before. From that moment, tensions in the family escalated again. Jack spent days at work, slept on the living room couch, and increasingly got annoyed with regular conversations with his wife. He reproached Naomi for gaining weight and becoming inattentive. He looked at her with disgust and completely lost interest in family matters. Naomi was deeply troubled, crying, as the birth of their daughter was less than a month away. What would happen next when their daughter was born? Naomi finished her tea, sighed, and went to the kitchen to prepare dinner because Jack was about to return from work. Despite the difficulties in their relationship, she still loved her husband very much and decided to make him happy by cooking his favorite fish and cream sauce. The dish turned out impeccable. As always, she loved cooking, making every dish delicious and beautiful. Finally, the front door slammed shut, and her husband entered the apartment. Naomi hurried to meet him and awkwardly reached out to hug him. He reluctantly kissed her on the cheek and grumbled, "Hi. Wait, why these affections when I get home? I'm very tired from work. Is dinner ready? Jack, I missed you so much. And you act like a stranger." "Of course, I cooked your favorite fish," replied Naomi. Hearing this, her husband softened a bit and, smiling, responded, "Well done. You managed to please me. I love fish. I'll quickly wash my hands, and then I'll come to the table." During dinner, Naomi told her husband that she had gone to the supermarket for groceries, had a doctor's appointment, completed the final screening, and everything was fine with the baby. Jack barely listened. He nodded occasionally while texting someone on his phone. After a satisfying dinner, Jack leaned back on his chair and said, "Thanks. Everything was delicious. I wanted to tell you that I urgently need to go on a business trip tomorrow morning. Pack my things as usual, and I'll go rest for a bit. I have major issues at work right now." Naomi was flustered. She dropped the cup from her hands, and it loudly shattered on the floor. But she didn't even notice. "Why do you need to go on a business trip? How long will it last? I'm about to give birth. Contractions could start any day now. Can't you cancel or send someone else on the trip? I'm constantly on edge." "Jack, it seems like you're not interested in our child." The man carefully took a broom, swept up the shards, and began justifying himself. "Why this hysteria, Naomi? Why break the dishes? I can't refuse this business trip and not go. Otherwise, I'll lose everything in the business. Do you understand? Don't make up anything. You're giving birth in 3 weeks, and I'll definitely be back in time. Work stresses me constantly, and it's not peaceful at home either. Stop behaving like a spoiled little girl. Everything will be fine. I won't be gone for long." Naomi cried, waved her hand, and went to pack her husband's bag for the business trip, while he lay on the couch in front of the TV and resumed talking on the phone. Early the next morning, Jack left for the airport while Naomi was still asleep. He didn't even say goodbye, as if he had sneaked out of the house. During the day, the wife panicked and started packing her own bag, including everything needed for childbirth and the baby, along with her documents. She realized she had no one else to rely on. Unpleasant sensations in her lower abdomen and lower back arose due to anxiety and stress. She felt agitated, as if something bad was about to happen. What should she do in this situation? She had no close friends. Those she had in college or at work had become strangers. They rarely met, and she didn't want to ask for help. She had no relatives, and her husband's parents lived in another city. It was unlikely they would come to help her. Meanwhile, Jack was in a hurry to the airport. An enchanting brunette named Marcia sat next to him in the car, his new lover. They were heading to a resort for a vacation. He envisioned the unforgettable adventure awaiting him: warm Spanish sea, bright sun, and such a luxurious woman by his side. She looked different from his overweight wife. Lately, Naomi had been irritating him greatly. Her figure resembled a huge ball. Her legs were swollen, and her eyes stared at him with reproach and hopelessness. Jack had indeed loved her for many years and remained faithful. But everything became dull, their joint days monotonous, and the intimacy in their relationship almost disappeared. He hoped she would give him an heir, but even that hope was shattered when doctors said it would be a girl. He longed for passion, lightness, to feel like a young man again, to embrace a slender, tender body. That's when Marcia entered his life, and their affair started recently, when his wife was already pregnant. Initially, Jack felt guilty, betraying his pregnant wife. But as soon as Marcia playfully traced her finger along his hand and winked with her seductive gaze, Jack was no longer in control. He visited her apartment, where he found immense pleasure. Marcia demanded attention and expensive gifts, so Jack started bringing home less money. A week ago, the lovers suddenly suggested going on a vacation, embracing him in bed with a glass of champagne. "Darling, I want to go to the sea right now. Let's go on vacation together for a week. I promise you complete relaxation." "You're asking the impossible. My wife could give birth any day. I need to be with her. Who knows what might happen? We'll definitely go on vacation together, my love, but a bit later. Now is not the right time." The woman suddenly jumped out of bed and began throwing Jack's things in his face. "If that's the case, go to your fat wife, and don't come back to me. Got it? Apparently, you don't love me at all. Doctors always check everything. You yourself said childbirth would be in December, and it's only November now. Nothing will happen to her if you leave for a week. Do I often ask you for anything? You don't even want to divorce her, and I endure all of this. Do you think I enjoy being your pleasure girl? Choose: either you go with me to the sea, or it's the end of our love." The man was frightened. He couldn't live without Marcia, and her passionate nature was indeed volatile. She wasn't a wife who would tolerate everything silently. Moreover, he faced unexpected difficulties at work, and it wouldn't hurt to get away from home for a while. He decided to agree, reassuring himself that nothing terrible would happen. Perhaps, for once in his life, he could truly relax. And there they were, already taking off on the plane. Marcia held his hand, and Jack was happy, envisioning a vacation with the most desired woman. Meanwhile, Naomi was worried about her husband's departure. She didn't even manage to ask him which city he was heading to. She tried to call him, but his phone was out of range. By evening, her abdominal pain intensified, and contractions became more frequent. In panic, Naomi called the emergency services. The doctors arrived quickly, and luckily, she had already gathered all the necessary things, so they took her to the maternity hospital. The labor lasted almost a day, and though doctors considered a caesarean section, by morning, she safely gave birth not to a daughter but a son. She was happy. After all, Jack had dreamt of a son. She tried to reach her husband again, but in vain. He either didn't answer or had turned off his phone. The woman had mixed feelings. On one hand, she experienced the joy of motherhood, kissing her baby, holding him close, but on the other hand, she had no one to share this happiness with. Her husband didn't respond to calls, and no one visited her in the maternity hospital. It was so hurtful. Other women received visits from their husbands, relatives, bringing huge bags of food and flowers, congratulating them. In such moments, Naomi cried, turning away from the wall. Even the roommates in the ward couldn't believe she was married. They thought she was lying. "You have no one. You've been here for many days, and no one has visited you. Men may not always be decent, but not visiting your wife after childbirth is unheard of. Just admit you gave birth for yourself. What's the big deal? Take at least an apple to eat. We're treating you since you look so pale," one of the ward neighbors said. Naomi was so hurt, but it seemed they were right. It turned out that she really wasn't needed by her husband. She had to ask strangers, relatives of one of the ward neighbors, to buy things for the baby for discharge. Even at the discharge, no one was there. Naomi left the maternity hospital alone with the baby in her arms, called a taxi, and went home. Cars adorned with balloons and relatives were waiting nearby, eager to see the newborns with their wives. She tried to hold back tears. Her mood was terrible. Naomi almost cried in the taxi. The driver, a completely unfamiliar person, congratulated her on the baby's birth, wished the child good health, but her husband still hadn't called. Can it really be like this? It turned out that very few things for the baby had been bought in advance. They planned that when the baby was born, Jack would buy everything while she was in the maternity hospital. Now she was alone at home, with absolutely no food in the refrigerator, and a breastfeeding baby in her arms. Going out even for bread wasn't an option because leaving the baby alone was not possible. She hadn't even changed her clothes when someone persistently rang the doorbell. She rushed to open the door, hoping Jack had returned from his business trip, and everything would be fine. However, a tall and robust man stood at the doorway. He decisively entered the apartment without waiting for an invitation, adjusting his glasses, and asked, "Is Jack here? Call him immediately. I need to have a serious talk with him." Naomi was perplexed and didn't know what to say. "Yes, he does live here, but he's on a business trip. He left a week ago, hasn't been answering my calls, and seems to have disappeared. I'm worried about him myself. I just returned from the maternity hospital, and I can't reach him. I'm really concerned. Could something bad have happened to Jack? He couldn't have just abandoned us. It's unthinkable. Why are you looking for him?" The man frowned. "So, he ran away. He borrowed a significant sum of money from me recently, promised to return it in 3 days, and then disappeared. He said there were extraordinary circumstances in his family, and he urgently needed money. I thought something serious had happened. Life is unpredictable, so I believed him and lent him the money. I took that money out of my company's circulation, and if he doesn't return it, I'll have problems. I never thought businessmen could be so deceitful. Well, I'll find him and collect the debt." Upon hearing this, Naomi felt faint and began to collapse to the floor, losing consciousness. At that moment, she hit a cabinet and fell unconscious. The baby, sensing that something bad had happened to his mother, started crying loudly throughout the apartment. The man was scared and didn't know what to do. He found a first aid kit in the kitchen, brought smelling salts to the woman's nose, waved a towel at her, and lightly tapped her cheeks, trying to bring her to her senses. Feeling her head, He realized there was a huge bump on the back of it. When she came to, she winced in pain, rubbed the bruised area, and, hearing her son cry, immediately ran to the child, forgetting about herself. Taking him in her arms, she tried to soothe the baby. "Hush, my little one. Are you scared? Mom is here. Calm down." The baby in his mother's arms did stop crying, and Naomi couldn't believe the man's words. "I really don't know where Jack is. I just returned from the maternity hospital today. We haven't bought anything for the baby yet, and it's already challenging for me. And here you are, coming to us. Are you going to interrogate me, threaten me, maybe even hurt me? I don't have any money. I'm just a housewife. When my husband returns, take the money from him." But I don't believe Jack could sneak away so heartlessly and leave his family. We've spent so many years together. We love each other. He wanted an heir so much. You're deceiving me. I apologize for scaring you. I was indeed rude. My name is Harold. I own a chain of gas stations and snack bars. Many people in town know me. What's your name? Don't be afraid. I won't harm you. I'm not a gangster. Yes, I'm angry with your husband. That's true. But neither you nor the child are involved. Try calling Jack again now, and if he doesn't pick up, I promise to leave your home immediately," said the man. "My name is Naomi, and I'm afraid he won't answer. I've been calling him several times a day for a week. He doesn't respond. My son is named Kevin," she replied with a heavy sigh. Without much hope that he would answer, she dialed her husband's number for a video call. The rings went on for a long time, and then suddenly, the video turned on. A tanned, gorgeous brunette in a bikini brazenly stared into the phone screen, with her Coast behind her, holding a cocktail glass in her hands. "Well, hello, wife. How many times are you going to call him? You're annoying us. Jack and I are together, enjoying ourselves, and you were just bothering us with your calls." Suddenly, they saw a panicked Jack running towards the brunette. He, too, had a stunning tan, wearing beach shorts and a hat. He looked guiltily at his wife and mumbled unclearly, "Naomi, how are you feeling? It's not what you think. I'll explain everything later." However, upon seeing the creditor, Jack's expression changed. "You shameless person. Jack, you abandoned your wife with a breastfeeding baby and shamelessly enjoy yourself with your mistress. Did you forget about the debt? You were supposed to be home in 3 days and return my money, or I'll find you myself. Understood? Your company is in bad shape right now, and if you don't give me the money, I'll take it for the debts." Jack immediately disconnected, and Naomi sat on the couch, covering her face with her hands, crying, "I'm so ashamed. I can't believe my eyes. I was worried about him, was about to call hospitals and morgues, thinking of going to Jack's workplace because I didn't know where to find him. I thought something bad happened to him, but he's with that brunette. I spent all my youth with him, loved him so much, adored him. He asked me to give him an heir, and it turns out neither I nor the baby matter to him. I just can't comprehend and believe this. How am I going to live now? I can't stay in the same apartment with Jack anymore. I don't want to see him anymore. I don't have much money. It won't be enough for a rented apartment. And there's so much to buy for the baby. Why does my luck always run out? Well, that's what I deserve. I'm fat, gained 10 kilograms during pregnancy, and that brunette looks gorgeous." Naomi cried, not even noticing that the man was still sitting beside her, lost in his own thoughts. He abruptly stood up, took Naomi's still-packed bag, and confidently said, "Naomi, get dressed. You'll stay with me for a while. The mansion is spacious. There's enough room for everyone. You won't be a bother. Let everything be resolved, and then you can return home if you want. Don't worry about anything. Your milk might disappear. Focus only on your son. Everything else doesn't matter right now." Naomi looked up at this unfamiliar man with teary eyes and said, Are you insane? I've never seen you in my life. How can I live with strangers? What will your wife say about this? Do you think she'll be happy with such guests? No, I can't do this. Harold decisively walked to the wardrobe, took off her coat, and gallantly handed it to Naomi. No objections accepted. You're in a tough situation, and I'll help you. Here's my business card. Banners with ads for my gas stations are all over the city, so I'm not a scammer. I promise nothing bad will happen to you. I'm a widower, living with my daughter, Karen. You won't be a bother in my house. You can't handle these problems alone right now. Allow me to help you, for no reason at all. I don't need anything from you. Are you willing to come with me? Naomi hesitated for a few minutes, but then looked at her son and decided, I can't handle these problems on my own. And I'll never go back to Jack. I'll stay with this man for a while, and then I'll decide what to do next. She left the keys in the hallway and slammed the door behind her. All the way in the car, she quietly cried, realizing that she would never return here again. Her entire familiar family life was shattered by one phone call. Resentment towards her husband, jealousy, and humiliation tore her apart from the inside, and she had no idea what would happen next. Just a week ago, she was cooking fish in the kitchen and waiting for her husband to come home, and now she was a lonely woman with a baby. They drove for a very long time, and the mansion was located outside the city, near the forest. They were greeted by a maid, who listened to all the owner's instructions and immediately led Naomi and her son to settle into a cozy room on the second floor. It was bright, clean, and very comfortable. It smelled of fresh wood and some herbs. My name is Penny, and my assistant is Rachel. If you need any help, don't hesitate to ask. Also, a nanny named Irma comes here. She takes care of Karen. Maybe she can help you with the baby. I'll ask her. Make yourself at home. There's clean linen and clothes in the closet. Dinner will be at 7 in the evening in the dining room. We'll be waiting for you. Naomi thanked the maid, first undressed her son, changed his diaper, and fed him. Kevin behaved calmly, didn't fuss, ate well, and immediately fell into a deep sleep. The woman started to explore. She took a warm shower, changed, and came out for dinner at 7, as instructed. In the dining room, a cute 5-year-old girl was already sitting, playing with a doll and feeding it with a spoon. Seeing Naomi and the baby, she exclaimed, "Hello, I'm Karen, and Daddy's not home. He left for important matters, said to stay with you. You're going to live with us now. That's what Daddy said. What a nice baby. What's his name? Can I touch him?" The girl turned out to be friendly and talkative. She constantly asked Naomi about something. They quickly became friends, had a delicious dinner together, and Karen led Naomi to the playroom, showing her around and trying to entertain little Kevin with a wind-up toy. Suddenly, a loud male voice was heard at the door. "Hello, everyone. Hurry up and unpack the gifts, or I won't be able to hold everything." Karen joyfully hugged her dad, and Naomi was amazed with delight when she saw that Harold had bought a crib for Kevin, bathing supplies, a whole bag of baby items, baby formula, several packs of diapers, and a fashionable and luxurious stroller. The woman didn't know how to thank him. "Thank you so much, Harold. You spent a lot of money on this. I don't know when I'll be able to pay you back, because with a breastfeeding baby, I can't find a job. You're my savior. And your daughter is wonderful. We've already become friends." The man smiled and replied, "I just bought you the necessary things for taking care of the baby. And don't think you owe me anything. Let's arrange everything in your room so that you and the baby can be comfortable there. Feel at home. Stay as long as you need. It's even better for me. Karen won't be bored. And I'm constantly at work, only coming home late at night. Unfortunately, my daughter misses her mother a lot, and I can't replace her. It's been 4 years since my wife passed away, and no woman has crossed the threshold of this house until now. You're the first. Naomi was grateful to Harold. She realized he was a real man who cared tenderly for Karen, and he had no mistresses. She felt safe around him. Moreover, she felt comfortable in this house. They spent quality time with Karen, doing everything together, and they didn't even need a nanny. The girl loved helping with little Kevin, happily pushing his stroller during walks. Meanwhile, Jack was very angry. He couldn't control his emotions and constantly shouted at Marsha, "Why did you answer my wife's call? What have you done? What will happen now? Naomi will never forgive me. It'll end in divorce. And what am I going to do about the debt? We're using that money for our vacation. Do I have to hide from him for the rest of my life?" Marsha bit her lip and replied, "You should have divorced your wife a long time ago. Let her know the truth, that we love each other and are happy. As for the debt, be smarter. Deceive the creditor. Come up with something. You can do it if you want. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Don't be mad at me. I'll give you a relaxing massage now." Jack listened to his mistress's advice. He thought long and hard about his cunning plan to get rid of both the creditor and the debt, and still come out on top. After devising the plan, he immediately packed his things and flew home. Entering the apartment, he looked around and realized that Naomi hadn't been there for a long time. Where could she have gone? She has no one. She's an orphan. There used to be a small old apartment, but it was sold a long time ago. How do I reconcile with her? I don't need a divorce right now. It will greatly tarnish my image. Well, whatever. First I'll deal with Harold, and then I'll figure things out with Naomi. She won't be able to live without me and the little child. He started calling Harold, turning on the phone's recorder beforehand. "Harold, I'm back in town. I don't have money, but I'm ready to give you my company. I have no other way out. Let's meet in the parking lot near the stadium tomorrow at 5. I'll bring all the documents." "Why meet in the parking lot? Let's go straight to the notary and handle all the paperwork." "No, this is my condition. Otherwise, I won't agree. I'll give you the documents in the parking lot, and then do whatever you want with them. I have no other options." "Well, as you say, but you brought it upon yourself. See you, and don't even think about leaving again. I'll find you anyway." Jack was pleased. His plan was working. He immediately went to the location of their meeting tomorrow, installed a surveillance camera, and prepared for negotiations. Harold arrived on time. Jack handed him the company documents, then suddenly snatched them back and shouted, "No, I won't give them away. This is my business. Why are you taking my documents?" Harold didn't understand anything and said harshly, "Give me back the documents." "Jack, what are you doing? Quickly give me the papers. And now get out of here, loser." Harold left, and Jack couldn't contain his smile. Everything went exactly as he had planned. He grabbed the camera and headed to the police station, where he began to narrate a story. According to Jack, Harold, a well-known businessman, forcefully took away his business documents, threatened him, and presented all the evidence: a recorded phone conversation and footage from a security camera. Not everything favored Harold, and the investigator was compelled to detain the businessman on suspicion of extortion, which could lead to a lengthy prison sentence. When Harold didn't return home that evening, Naomi started to panic. Now his phone was also turned off. What could have happened to him? Where is he? What should I tell Karen? She was extremely nervous, trying to hold herself together in front of the little girl to avoid upsetting her. Naomi put the children to bed and waited for Harold. In the middle of the night, the phone rang. The number was unknown, but Naomi immediately answered. Harold was whispering quickly and indistinctly, "Naomi, listen carefully. I'm in jail. Your husband set me up. Go to my office right now. There's a safe. Enter the code 3587. Take the money from there and hire me a lawyer, Ian Stork. Remember the name, and take care of Karen." That's it. I can't talk anymore." Naomi didn't have time to say anything. She was very frightened. So, Jack returned, and he didn't even call her. In the morning, Naomi left the children with the nanny and began searching the internet for the contact information of that lawyer. She managed to get through and arranged a meeting. "I assure you, Harold is an honest person and not guilty of anything." Jack framed him. Everything was completely different. "I'll tell you everything now. Will you take his case?" She recounted everything she knew about the loan story and looked hopefully at the elderly bearded man, who listened attentively and contemplated something. The lawyer agreed to defend the businessman's interests. The payment for his services was high, but everyone in town knew he was the best in the business. He helped deliver warm clothes to Harold in prison. On the same day, Jack began searching for Naomi. "Darling, I'm back. There's no one in our apartment. Where are you?" "Naomi, let's talk. We're adults. I love you and our daughter, and I don't want to divorce you. What you saw was just a little intrigue. It means nothing to me. Forgive me. I promise it won't happen again." It was unpleasant for the woman to listen to him. "Jack, you don't even know that you have a son, not a daughter. Where were you when I needed help with the brunette? And for you, all this is just a little intrigue. I'm filing for divorce, and I won't spend a minute under the same roof with you. Why did you disgrace Harold? Why did you set him up? Aren't you ashamed? You owe him money, don't you? How can you deceive people like this? Jack, what's happening? Is your mistress influencing you so much? Immediately retract your statements at the police station. I don't understand what you're talking about. So, are you meeting with the creditor? How are you any better than me? And don't meddle in our business. If you want a divorce, we'll get one. But you'll regret it. Poor orphan. Soon, Harold will be in prison, and you'll come to me begging for forgiveness. And I'll think whether to forgive you or not. Maybe the child isn't even mine, and you were pregnant with another man. You're disgusting. Jack. Naomi shouted and hung up the phone. 3 weeks passed, and Naomi continued to live in Harold's house. She took care of Karen, encouraged the girl who missed her father, whispering to her, "Don't cry, little one. Dad is on a business trip. He'll be back soon. We have to wait for him. Everything will be okay, I promise." "Why isn't Dad answering the calls then? He always calls me when he leaves. When will Dad come back? You won't leave, will you? I'm so scared." Naomi hugged the girl and said, "No, I'll be right here. We'll wait for Dad together." "Oh, Kevin woke up. Let's go bathe him together. Will you help me? I can't manage without you." The next day, Naomi took the baby for a routine examination at the pediatric center. The doctor frowned for a long time, examined the boy's leg, bent and straightened the knee, and then said, "I have to disappoint you. The child has a congenital pathology. We need to perform a complex operation, and then the leg will bend normally in the knee. The sooner we do this, the better. Otherwise, the child may become disabled for life. I'll put you on the waiting list under insurance. But you understand, a private operation will be much faster. And how much will this operation cost? I'll find the money. My son is the greatest happiness in my life. I don't want him to grow up disabled." Naomi asked fearfully. When the doctor announced the amount, Naomi felt sick. The cost of the operation was simply enormous. She couldn't imagine where to get such money. Lately, Naomi had faced numerous problems. Harold was in prison. Her son had health issues, and she was going through a divorce with her husband. Out of despair, she decided to call Jack while in the hospital. "At last, you've realized you're wrong. Have you decided to come back home? It was about time. I told you that you have no other options," Jack said, laughing. Naomi was nervous. It was unpleasant for her to ask Jack for help, but she didn't understand what to do in this situation. "Jack, I don't have time to argue with you right now. Our son has health problems. They diagnosed him with a congenital pathology, his left leg and the knee doesn't bend at all. An urgent operation is needed, but it costs a fortune. Can you help? We can't wait for insurance payment. Otherwise, Kevin may become disabled for life. She hoped that Jack would at least have some compassion for their son and help their own child. But he yelled into the phone, "Are you crazy? Where am I supposed to get that kind of money? I'm practically bankrupt, drowning in debt. What kind of woman are you if you couldn't give birth to a normal child? Your life is not like that of normal people. Ask your lover for money when he gets out of prison in 5 years. After all, you're living in his mansion now. I can't help you." Naomi couldn't believe the words she heard from her husband. "Then we don't need a father like you. You will surely be punished in life for your actions. Never call me again. How foolish I was to have lived with you for so many years." Fortunately, the lawyer proved to be a true professional. Within a week, he managed to demonstrate that Jack was deceiving everyone. He found witnesses confirming that Harold borrowed a huge sum of money from Jack, and there was even a signed document about it. After lengthy proceedings, Harold was finally released. Naomi was waiting for him at the prison gates with the driver. The children stayed home with the nanny because Karen didn't need to see this. Harold emerged from prison, a bit thinner and somewhat bewildered. When he saw Naomi, he hugged her tightly, genuinely, like a dear person. "Naomi, do you realize what you've done? You managed to save me. If you hadn't hired a lawyer, I would have been accused of extortion for sure. Thank you for helping me and spending time with Karen. You know, I won't give you up to anyone now, and I won't let you go anywhere. Women like you can't be found anymore, and your ex-husband will regret not appreciating you," Harold said, holding back tears. In his embrace, Naomi felt so good, so cozy and calm that she didn't want him to let her go. At home, after everyone had dinner, Karen played with her dad, and the kids went to bed. Harold decided to ask, "Naomi, I've been watching you all evening. You seem sad, subdued. What happened? Did I offend you somehow? Or is it because of Jack that you're so upset?" "To be honest, I'm panicking. My son has health problems, and he needs urgent surgery. I even called Jack, thinking he would help his own child. But no, he told me he has no money, and I don't know where to get them. I have nothing, not even something to sell. I'm ready to do anything to help my child," the woman replied, sighing. "Why didn't you tell me anything? Tell me what they found with Kevin," Harold asked sternly. The woman told him everything, showed the test results and the clinic's discharge summary. She timidly mentioned the amount needed for the urgent surgery. Saying this, Naomi burst into tears as she could no longer contain her emotions. Harold took her hand, and they went to his office. He opened the safe, took out a stack of money, and said, "I think this should be enough for the surgery. Take it. Tomorrow morning, we're going to the clinic. I do have some financial problems now, and my business isn't generating stable income. But I'm a resourceful person, always saving money, and I won't spare anything for the little one. A child must grow up healthy. There's no need to postpone the treatment." Naomi pressed the money to her chest and cried, "Thank you. Now you've saved me. I'll definitely pay you back. As soon as Kevin grows up, I'll find work again. Maybe start working in accounting or return to the confectionery factory." "Can you wait?" Harold frowned. "I never want to hear that again. Or are you trying to offend me? I'm not against you working. If you want to, you can. But I won't take any money from you. I'm helping you without any motives. I just want to help a good person. Let's not continue this conversation. The main thing is for Kevin to get better. That's the most important thing right now." The surgery was successful, and the child started recovering. Naomi was constantly with him at the clinic, rocking and caring for her son, while Harold visited them every day. He easily picked up the little one and interacted with him skillfully. It seemed that the child smiled at him, opened his mouth, and said something. Naomi looked at them and thought, "I'm ready to spend the rest of my life with such a real man. How could I have been so wrong when I agreed to marry Jack? How could I have loved him all these years? How did I not notice that he's selfish? That being with me is just convenient and comfortable for him? When did he change so much? Jack has never seen his son even once. He didn't even want to help him. And Harold did so much for me in such a short time, and I'm not even related to him." I understood that he is a faithful and reliable man. Harold didn't seek revenge on Jack. He understood that his life would soon be completely different because he stopped running his business, and now he's bankrupt. His business will pass to Harold, completely free of charge. Jack will get what he deserves, and maybe next time, he won't behave so vilely with people. That's how it turned out. Jack was completely ruined, and Marcia soon left him, finding a more successful and wealthy man. After all, she only needed money from Jack for a beautiful and carefree life. When Jack realized this, he tried to reconcile with Naomi, but she didn't want to hear about it. Soon, their divorce took place, and they became strangers to each other. Naomi told the jury that Jack didn't pick her up from the maternity hospital, never saw his son in his life, didn't help find money for the operation, and convinced them that he should be deprived of parental rights. The court accepted her arguments, and now Jack couldn't see his son. But that wasn't all. Creditors took away Jack's apartment for debts, and he had to live in a dorm without amenities and comfort. He started drinking a lot of alcohol, and closing his eyes, he saw not passionate Marcia but Naomi. He remembered how she gently woke him up in the morning and whispered, "Wake up, my love. The coffee is getting cold, and breakfast is already on the table." He smiled in his sleep, but waking up, he saw an empty room in front of him. He helplessly pounded his fists on the wall and screamed in despair. Only now did he realize that he had lost everything. How wickedly he had treated the woman he loved, how he humiliated her, and he never saw his own son. He understood that Harold, not he, would raise and love him, and it would be Harold, whom his son would call Dad. But no matter how much he drank alcohol out of despair, nothing could be changed. In Harold's family, on the contrary, everything was improving. Karen had long loved Naomi and started calling her mom, willingly helping with little Kevin, and calling him her younger brother. Harold, for the first time since his wife's death, could fall in love with this simple, quiet, and faithful woman. A caring mother and a real homemaker, the kind of wife he had always dreamed of. However, despite his sincere feelings, he didn't rush to propose to her. He saw how Naomi suffered from the divorce, and he understood that she needed time to calm down and forget the pain and betrayal that Jack had caused her. Harold was always there for her, showing attention and care. They had lived together for a whole year, taking care of the children. For all their acquaintances, they had long become a family. Harold couldn't wait any longer, and on Naomi's birthday, he decided to surprise her and confess his love. Early in the morning, while Naomi was still asleep, Harold went to the store for a huge bouquet of crimson roses. On that day, for the first time, he entered her bedroom without knocking and saw that she and Kevin were still fast asleep. Smiling, he looked at them for a long time and thought how beautiful she was. He leaned over and timidly kissed her cheek. He was very nervous because he didn't know how she would react to this kiss. Naomi opened her eyes, looked at him surprisingly, and suddenly smiled. The man gave her a bouquet and said quietly, "Naomi, I want to be the first to congratulate you on your birthday. And I want this day to be remembered for a long time. Take it. This is my gift to you, or rather, the first part of it." Naomi read the documents that Harold gave her, rubbing her eyes and not understanding anything. It was written there that she was the director of a confectionery in the very center of the city. The woman was overjoyed and almost cried. "Is it true? I can't believe it." Yes, I recently bought this confectionery, especially for you. I remember you told me how much you love baking cakes, even though you're an accountant by education. I hope you enjoy managing this business. Do you like the gift?" Harold asked and gently hugged her. Naomi hugged him tightly and kissed him for the first time, so sensually, sincerely, and tenderly that Harold's head even spun from happiness. "Thank you, Harold, you're the best. Honestly, I can't believe it. I was just an orphan, and now I'm the director of a confectionery. It's been my dream since childhood, and you helped me fulfill it." Harold smiled and said, "But that's not all. Naomi, marry me. I can't hide my feelings anymore. I love you. I promise to always be by your side. Take care of you and Kevin. I hope you'll agree to accept my proposal." Finally, Naomi heard those words she had been dreaming of and promptly responded, "I agree to be your wife. I've loved you for a long time, Harold. You're the best man for me. I can see that my son gets along well with you. Karen has become like a daughter to me, and we became friends from the moment we met. It feels like we've been a family for a long time, but I was waiting for you to tell me yourself. Today, I'm the happiest woman. I want to open the window and shout that I love you." After that, they began to passionately kiss, savoring each other. From that day on, Naomi's life changed. She spent a lot of time at work, with a nanny helping with the kids. Naomi quickly learned how to manage the business skillfully. Initially, her employees were cautious, but soon they began to respect her. Naomi's appearance also changed significantly. She cut her hair, lightened it, dressed more fashionably, and didn't forget to go to the gym. She lost weight, and her figure became slim and toned again. Despite her busy work schedule, she tried to spend time with her family, and her husband didn't demand constant housework from her like Jack did. For him, she was not just a housekeeper. Only occasionally, at her discretion, Naomi could please her husband by baking a cake or preparing something delicious for the family. For Harold, it was much more important that Naomi felt happy, because a woman is not a housekeeper. She is the most beloved and dearest person. He was immensely grateful to her for that. Now Naomi was happy, engaged in her favorite work, and only she knew the reason for her youth and happy eyes. Now she understood the meaning of being married. The right thing to say is being behind the husband's back, under his protection, and only then a woman will be happy. Many years passed, and one day, a disheveled-looking woman entered a charming, cozy confectionery. One of her heels was broken, and she was in a terrible mood. She carried a travel bag and angrily ordered coffee and dessert while browsing through rental housing ads. It was Marsha, once a passionate brunette. She was dumped by another man who found himself a younger girl. She never got married and had no children. Marsha started drinking wine and smoking cigarettes frequently, which affected her appearance. She enviously watched a beautiful, well-groomed woman pass by in the confectionery, along with an equally handsome man. The woman was showing him paintings on the wall and talking about how successfully she acquired them, and he looked at her lovingly. The image of the woman seemed familiar to Marsha, and she realized it was Naomi. This was Jack's wife. Well, how she had changed. Now she was a true business lady. Marsha decided this was her chance and approached the owner. "Excuse me, do you have any job openings? I really need work. Perhaps you need a kitchen staff member." Of course, Naomi recognized Marsha. She couldn't forget her and intentionally responded rudely, "Woman, have you looked at yourself in the mirror? It's obvious that you're on something. No, I don't need such employees. There will be constant problems because of you. Besides, our confectionery is already closing." Marsha quickly rushed out of the confectionery. She was very angry and felt humiliated there. Naomi embraced her husband and walked with him slowly through the square towards their expensive car. At that moment, she once again realized that she had met and fallen in love with the best man.